back, everybody. I have a mustache now. For anyone that cares or doesn't care. Alright, let's just check some audio like I do every single time. Check, check, check. Perfect. Alrighty. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, and we are rolling. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are still tuning in at this point, we are technically 3 episodes in. This is the third one, third official one. The first one was really just me talking to myself in front of an empty camera, which is cool. But today we have a great guest on, someone who I really didn't even really come to know until kind of later on in life, but an all-around great guy. Definitely someone who I think a lot of people can learn a lot from, just in terms of what it means to really push yourself and chase those curiosities and kind of develop as a person, because a lot of times in general, I think everyone just gets a little stagnant. So coming all the way from LA, really happy to bring him on. Nate Biltz, thank you so much for being here. Can't wait for this conversation. How we doing?
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Good. Look at this.
I'm excited.
Just every single time, and I'm going to say it every single time, people will definitely get annoyed at a certain point, but I just love the feeling of putting on headphones.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Like, it just feels right. Like,
Feels
you
good.
just feel professional for some reason,
100%.
like we are, on Joe Rogan or whatever. But, dude, welcome on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We've been keeping in contact kind of this year, but I don't even think... Have we seen each other this year? Maybe one. I think we maybe ran once or twice.
We went running around February, January.
Yeah. Dang, that was like before lockdown then.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's when I enjoyed running at that point in time, where I was like still comfortable doing that.
You did pretty good. Do you not run anymore?
I really don't. I don't like to, just because I know it's really good for my heart, but I'm not a huge fan of it while I'm doing it. So
Yeah.
That's the only caveat.
That's why you're so jacked right now, bro.
It must be. No. But anyways, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Just give me and again, the most philosophical way possible. Just give me an open-ended, like you've never heard this question before. Who are you? Who is Nate Biltz? Just talk to me.
Who is Nate Biltz?
Who is
he? As a identifier, probably I would go off like someone who just does whatever he wants to do, and not apologetic for it, I would say.
I love that.
Yeah, so
I love that.
That's what I would say.
And I think, oh God, I think people are gonna come to find that out too as we talk more and more.
Sure.
Discuss how this year has been for you in like a single word, because I know everyone's got like different feelings and everyone's been affected by this whole thing differently. So
Sure.
Talk to me. If you could have a word, sum it up.
Yeah, the word would probably be growth, for sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Expand on that. How?
Expand on growth. So we're in a pandemic, or I would say it was, or whatever you want to call it right now. A lot of shitty things are happening.
Yeah.
Right. And you could either look at it in 2 ways. It's happening to me, or is it happening for me? And like, what can you do with that state of mind? And so like, do you know who Jocko Willink is?
I love him. In fact, for a very, very long time, that was like my morning wake up. He has like a something on iTunes where it's like it just has his voice saying like, "Get up,
Really?
get to the gym."
Maybe I need
and
to
that was
get
my
that.
alarm. And I'll be honest, I didn't always listen to that, but definitely one of my favorite people.
Yeah. So he has this like one saying that's the answer to everything is good, right?
Yep.
And so a lot of shitty things happened to me. So you lost your job. You respond to that good, because you could grow in all these other aspects that you didn't have time for, right? What else happened? This girl I was talking to, things happened very badly. Good. Like, you have time to like grow as a person and become a better man for your future, whatever.
Yeah.
So many things like happened. I lost both my jobs. I was a personal trainer and a bartender and like all these other things. And I really didn't have a down point for it. I just responded. I was like, okay, what can I do today and during this time to like better myself? Obviously to stay healthy, because like COVID's real. Like, people die from it. Like, it's a thing. But but so is like obesity. So is like smoking cigarettes. Like everything. Dying can happen from many more things than like COVID.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
so it's just how you respond to the situation, and you learn to adapt, improvise, and overcome. You know.
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, in like my first episode, I asked the same question to my first guest, and then I asked it to myself, and I can't even honestly remember what I said. I think I said trials. That's what it was, and I'll kind of stick by that. But for those, you guys all need to get a notepad out, because I'm telling you, Nate's gonna drop knowledge like that. But
I appreciate that.
No, it's like I completely agree. I've been fortunate enough to like where I haven't like lost my job, but I mean, anything like that could happen at any time. You know, family stuff, health stuff. It could really be around every corner, and I think this year has shown more than anything like that is the right attitude to have. Like, is almost as counterintuitive as that sounds, like good, right? Like that's something that that people should kind of be taking forward, because I feel like a lot of people.
Well, it's definitely a hard take on like life for sure. If something really bad happens to you and you say good, someone dies, good, like it's kind of morbid in a sense, but like that's just how life is, you know?
Yeah.
And you could either choose to like mope in that hole for a very long time and maybe stay there, or get up out of it, you know?
And I think the big problem with that is like the farther that you dig that hole, the harder it is to come out. Right.
Yeah.
Like the more things that you allow to compound on top of itself, it just gets harder and harder to get out of that. It's like, you could have gone the route of, all right, lose my job, like, you know, collect unemployment, just hang, like think, like now I don't have to work, lose your second job.
I mean, it's like debt.
You know?
Like, so what? I could put like $100 on my credit card, and you do that 100 days in a row.
Yeah. Adds up.
Adds up.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I mean, you're in LA, so I know things are definitely different from Fresno. Talk about like coming back, because I know you've been back a couple times since everything's kind of happened. Like, how do you see the lockdowns being similar or different compared to Fresno and Los Angeles?
Okay, so when they first happened, I was living in Santa Monica, so I don't live there now, but
beautiful place though.
Yeah, beautiful place. Living in Santa Monica, and during the BLM movement and everything like that, with it was crazy. Like riots. I didn't go outside my apartment like for a very long time. I would get food for a month. Jeez. And I would just stay in there because like there was tanks on
National Guard.
No, there were tanks, bro.
That's
there
crazy.
were tanks right on the ocean, right on what's it called? Ocean Avenue or something like that. Yep. And that's where I finished like the LA Marathon. Like it was a great spot that I remember. And then I drove by it because I went to go get groceries, and there were tanks and people just like going.
That's got to be the weirdest
crazy
thing to see.
Yeah,
like just a normal person.
You don't think you see tanks like in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
And then one day too, like I was driving on the freeway, and there was this line of cars, and they just all stopped in the middle of the freeway. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa, what's happening? And then hella people got out of their cars, started slamming on my car. Like,
really?
Yeah. And just like protesting, which is, I'm very pro protesting, like good, but like,
yeah, me too.
Do it like, I don't know, like not violently. Yeah. You know?
And not destroying people's property. I completely agree. I think there's, like that has been, you know, it's been a long year. We've seen a lot of stuff like that, but there has been definitely a lot of like polarization. Like you could clearly see there is a difference between the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And unfortunately, it sours the image and like the, you know, the whole meaning behind the rightful protest when you see things like that happening.
Sure.
And it's frustrating for everyone. I watched countless videos and read countless articles where it's like, you know, regardless of if you're like full-fledged behind, say, the Black Lives Matter movement or not, like that is your constitutional right to go out and to protest. And I love that. And I love the fact that I saw a lot of those. Exactly. I saw a lot of those people coming out and saying like, please stop breaking into places and burning stuff and tearing stuff down. Not the right way to do it.
Yeah, dude.
But that doesn't get as much press in the media, you know?
And so I worked in Santa Monica too, the 3rd Street Promenade.
I love that place.
And
was that at the bar?
Yeah, at the
Yeah,
bar.
at the bar. Yeah.
At the bar. And every shop and shopping center. So I was on a rooftop, so our place didn't get hit.
That's awesome.
But every place below got looted. Everything was stolen. All glasses was broken. And like to go to a place that you worked all the time and that you like, I love that place for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you go and everything's destroyed. And yeah, especially people in Fresno and stuff, you see it on the news, but like I lived it. Like I was like, yo, like what's going on? Like it felt like a movie, dude.
Yeah.
Like there's a pandemic. Okay. Then it's like another, like all these movements happened, like BLM, Floyd, like all this other stuff. And you're like, what is going on? What movie am I living in?
Yeah.
Please wake me the fuck up.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That's like one of those things where you just like, it just feels like it just keeps on going. Like it's one thing after another.
Yes, sir.
And you know, I think that's definitely, you're right. I didn't live it in that way. Everyone's going to have a different experience.
Sure.
I mean, there was stuff in Fresno, but nothing.
What was the craziest thing in Fresno?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I couldn't tell you. Like I was trying to keep up as much as I could. I know there were a ton of protests, which I love seeing.
Yeah.
There was like one of the things that like really kind of like warmed my heart is when I saw leaders for, I believe the Black Lives Matter group or you know organization, or maybe it was one affiliated. They met with the Fresno Police Department at River Park, I believe it was, and they had like a coming together, like showing like their resolve together. And I don't know all the details, so I don't want to say anything incorrectly, but that was really cool to see. Yeah. And I mean, there was probably some things for sure. There's things all the time. Like there wasn't only those types of protests and riots. Like there was, you know, situations going on in Armenia, which I'm half Armenian. There's like stuff like that. And like there was like a stabbing in Fresno, like as people were protesting. It's just like crazy stuff like that where, you know, it's, let's say like, for example, like when your car was getting, like people were bouncing on your car, whatever it was, like, you know, that's definitely like, I'd be pissed.
Oh,
but
I was stuck there for 2 hours.
I would never ever in my life resort to violence.
Yeah.
Like never.
Yeah. I was just sitting in my car. I was like, okay, just wait it out. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But that's what happened, you know. But I was sitting in my car for 2 hours. But I have a question for you. You like history, right?
I love it.
Okay. So a lot of people that I've hung around with because I don't know a ton about history.
Yeah.
And I know you know this stuff, so I'm curious to what you think. Have told me that some of these events are similar to like what happened during World War II. And like what do you think about that? Like I don't know how. Like,
I mean, it depends where you're talking about World War II. Like you're talking about like Germany, like where are we talking?
I don't know,
just in general
events, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I couldn't really see. It all depends on where you're talking about. I don't think if we're gonna draw a parallel to like a war in terms of like what kind of event like drew like national attention and there was like mass rioting and protesting and stuff like that, like that'd probably be a lot more similar to like the Vietnam War, because there was a lot of like distrust against the government and certain people in the institution. Obviously that's totally different. Like here we're talking about like distrust against, you know, certain members of the police force who may have, you know, committed things that were obviously wrong. Like and that's the weirdest thing to me. It's like the reason why like I never understood like the violence part of it and like the destruction, and you know I want to talk to more people about this, is because there's not a single person in America who would have seen the things that happened to George Floyd and some other people, like especially in this day and age where you have that video proof, and been like, oh dude, yeah, that police officer was doing what was right. Not a single person has seen that. I mean, you know, police departments and people who have done the job forever have come out and been like, yeah, that was absolutely the wrong thing to do. We condemn that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't really draw that a comparison to like World War II. Like if we're going to talk like national, like
it could have been the Vietnam War. I don't remember. My buddy was bringing it up the other day and I was like, oh, maybe Christians should know about that.
Yeah. And I'm learning about history all the time. Like that's one of my, if I knew enough, like that'd be a second podcast for sure. But it would take a lot more research.
For sure.
And this is relatively like less taxing on the research
100%.
part of it, at least on my end.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so living in LA, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy? Like you're talking about, you didn't even leave your apartment for a month. Like what have you been doing?
So for the first few months, so I moved, but like when I was living in an apartment, both my roommates moved out. One moved in with his girl because she thought the world was ending. Like she was one of the toilet paper like stalkers, the water stalkers. Like she got everything, ton of canned foods. And then I guess my other roommate was the same thing. He moved home with his girl, all this stuff, and same thing. So I was stuck in this 3-bedroom apartment
by myself. That's crazy.
And I lost track of time a lot. Like I would go to bed like 4 or 5 a.m. And I
could never do that. I don't even know how you do that.
I was just like stuck in my apartment. I did whatever I wanted to do. The first things that I wanted to knock off on my bucket list were some books, right? I never read Harry Potter. So I knocked out the first 7 Harry Potter books. Like
how long did that take you?
I mean, I just read all day for the first like 10 days. Gosh. All day.
That's insane.
And then I read all the Harry Potter. I read all the 50 Shades of Grey. I read all the Lord of the Rings, just like straight.
So you read some like pretty thick books.
Oh, these are thick, bro.
I'd love to read, but I don't think I could go on a spree like that.
Yeah, so I just had some books that I was like, oh, I should do that. And then I started doing like ping pong golf tricks. I would show up like,
I saw some of these. They were sick. They were super sick.
Yeah, a red Solo cup just in the middle of nowhere. I was just losing my mind, bro.
Yeah.
And then,
did you ever like reflect at any time, being like you looked at the ball, you looked at the pong, like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
did you ever have that moment?
I don't know. So one of my roommates, when he realized that like, oh, like the world's not gonna end, like he moved back, I think. So when did this happen? Like March?
Yeah, it's like when a lot of the lockdowns kind of really
April, May,
going.
June, July. Around August, he came back.
Okay.
And he comes back into the living room, and there's just like everything out. I got like books out, notebooks out. I have
handstands.
I have pianos out. Like I have my keyboard out. I got like weights all over the place. It's just like a mess of like a ton of things, dude.
That's crazy.
And so that's what I did initially in the first part of quarantine. I just wanted to, I don't know. I just did whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever I wanted to do, and like whatever, just like basically what you said, chased your curiosities.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and let's be real. Like if there was any time to like really pick up a new hobby, this would definitely have been it.
Oh, 100%.
Like there were so many things that I can't even tell you like something exactly that I did, because I probably didn't pick up anything. I'd probably dabbled in, like we went on bike rides a ton, like over summer.
Heck
like,
yeah.
Bike rides were the thing. Like I've never biked more.
Sure.
In a single year, probably in my whole life, than I did, over summer during that time. But yeah, no, I love that. And I love that, like how active you are too. Like I know that's like one of like your jobs is like being a personal trainer. What in your humble opinion, right? Like what is like one of the biggest things that you can take away from being physically active daily? Like what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing right now, especially in this pandemic, is like, it helps your immune system.
Yeah.
And
proven.
Yeah. And if you really care about yourself, your family, the people around you, it's probably in your best interest to go get healthy, go work out. And for especially older folk, like osteoporosis, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Is a real thing. It's when your bones like
degenerate.
And the only way to like prevent that is to lift weights, to build up your bone density. And obviously cardio for your heart, but like build up your immune disease, take your supplements, like stay in the best health for you and your family, especially during this time.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't know what your thoughts on it are. I know you've worked with like a wide range of people, probably different ages and different, skill levels. But like, for me, something's better than nothing. Like go on a walk, go walk for 15 minutes, go on like a short 10-minute run, just run for 10 minutes. Like, I think that's like one of the biggest things. Like, what do you, like as a personal trainer, like what do you kind of strive for like your clients to like achieve? Like, is it based more upon them? And like,
it's based more upon them. Like, so for example, I have this client, he's 14, right?
Gotcha. Young. Got him young.
Young buck.
Yeah.
Young buck. And he's like really, really, really skinny. We started, he couldn't do a push-up, he couldn't do a pull-up.
Yeah.
But his goal was just like, I'm small, like I can't attract any girls or anything like that. So his goal is just like, I want to look good for chicks.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, okay, well, let's break that down and just like, how do we get there?
Yeah.
And so I think he hit like 15 pull-ups and like 30 push-ups last time we checked out. It's pretty good. He gained like 30 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot to gain.
This dude's a stud now.
Yeah, that's a lot to gain.
He's like this good-looking surfer kid who's like shredded, right?
Oh, dude, there we go.
And he's 15 now, 15, 16.
Every SoCal girl's dream right there. Surfer, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he's 16, and I learned a lot from him too because he's like into finance and stuff like that at 16.
That's
he's
awesome.
flipping shoes. I was like, damn, bro. Like,
dude, there you go.
Yeah. So I have clients like that, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'll have a client, probably the coolest one that I take back on sometimes. He was 6'6", 335 pounds, right? So big boy.
Big boy, yeah.
Big boy. And he's having knee problems, all like that. Mm-hmm. And by the last time we were done with it, he was just like, yo, like, it hurts to walk. Man. Right. And because he sits at his desk all day, just eats whatever.
That doesn't help.
Doesn't. And so he's like, yo, I just want to feel better, you know? So he lost like 35 pounds with me over like 3 months. Crazy.
That's good.
And he's like, yo, I could hold my kid better. I could hold my kid better. I could walk. I could go upstairs.
It's just like the functional things like that, huh?
Yeah. And so there's that. And then there's like, I do a lot of powerlifting. So there's like into that. Some girls, like I had this one client at UCLA. She was a law student and she just won a fat ass. Like I was like, okay, like everything that we do is going to be towards that. Some people want to be healthy. Some people want a certain body part.
Some people, they just want to look better. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do, just work towards it, you know, like, and like each client, each person, like, I don't know, has their own vision of what they want to be.
Yeah. And your job isn't to necessarily care about what that is. It's just to get them there.
Yeah.
And that's like, if you can provide that, like, then you're doing your job and you're, you're fulfilling that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
That's awesome. Like tying into that, cause I think like what goes hand in hand is like your diet, like what you put into your body, you know? And,
sure.
I'm not going to come on here and say that I'm by any means a diet expert at all. But kind of talk about like what you've seen just in terms of like with your clients or just what you've observed. Yeah. Like, where do you like, what is the standard American diet and like what's wrong with it? Like how can we correct that?
Yeah. So I'm not a dietitian, so don't quote me on any of this. I'm not sure.
Don't quote me on it. Yeah.
I mean, just like if you look at American food versus like other countries, it's a lot bigger. It's like more carb based. Yeah. But there's also like Italians who eat a lot of carbs too. But like the type of carbs are a little bit different. Yeah. There's a lot more like sugar based in American food. Yeah. But I think there's only, I think the number's around 20% of like actual food that's like good for you. Yeah. Like you're not supposed to eat like ho-hos and like Twinkies and it's just like there's so much bullshit out there. Yeah. And just to keep it in that 20% of like actually whole like healthy foods, it's hard, especially like eating bad is cheap. Yeah. You know, and a lot of people, especially going through this time and just like financially, like feeding your kids, like, yo, do you really want to sit down and make a salad and some nice ground beef or steaks or salmon or whatever? Yeah. Or are you just going to go to McDonald's, get a nice bag and just put it on the table? Yeah. You know, that's easy. Yeah. That's easy, especially for like even my uncle the other day, he came home, he makes good money. Yeah. And he went to In-N-Out, got burgers and stuff. He's like, yo, he just finished a shift. No. He doesn't want to cook. No. It's easy. Yeah, it's easy to fall into that. It's easy to fall into that. And then if you put your kids at that, like into that habit, that's what they're going to do for their kids and so on, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's like, it's one of those things and I mean, I'll be completely honest. Part of the responsibility is definitely on the person, but it doesn't help that you have like major corporations and restaurants and chains that make it so accessible. Like it does not help. It doesn't. But not by any means am I a living specimen of just like pure nutritional advice and like look at me as an example. Like I enjoy. Yeah, Christian's wearing a jacket right now, but you take it off, he has boulder shoulders. Exactly. Right now, yeah, exactly. Boulder shoulders. But like I enjoy like eating like crap every once in a while because like why not? Like you enjoy it, but I think like that's definitely. It's definitely part of life. Like you should enjoy it. Yeah, you should be able to go and do that. But like I definitely see, like I can't even remember the exact figure, but it was by like 2050, it was some crazy number. Like 50% of the American population is going to be obese. Like not like where we're at right now, where like we're teetering around like 20 or whatever. It's like half. Yeah. And the hardest thing I think is that like, and I'm sure like you work with your clients on this a lot, like. A lot of these changes that can be made are just simple.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like include this and
you know,
take this out.
take it out mostly. Like even what I told you about that 6'6" guy, 250.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I was like, I'm not a dietitian, man, but just like, what's your normal diet, real quick? And I was like, just tell me like what you drink.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like beer and soda. He's like, yeah, I probably do like 6 to 8 Pepsis a day and like
that's crazy.
4 Bud Lights at night, right? Every day.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Try taking like 3 Pepsis out and take 1 Bud Light out.
Yeah.
Just doing that every single day is going to cut so many calories.
Yeah.
Okay, hey man, so how was that? How was taking 3 Pepsis and 1 Bud Light out? Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Hey, you want to do 1 more Pepsi, 1 more Bud Light out? Just try it out.
Yeah.
Do that for a week or 2.
Yeah.
And keep going down. But like, yo, that's a ton of sugar. That's a ton of calories. And that's just what you drink.
Yeah.
And like soda, a ton of people drink soda, you know?
Definitely.
So yeah.
I know. I love that. And I think it's like, it's stuff that people don't want to hear. And it's stuff that,
Yeah.
again, I don't know. don't quote me on a single thing, but it's something that like that I was really interested in that in college. Like,
yeah.
I would have, like, I majored in political science and economics I minored in, but like, I also took like a nutrition class and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it would make no sense for me to like probably just go get a nutrition major out of nowhere, but it just fascinates me. Like, you know, food is like one of those things that like we think about and we do like all the time. Like it's such a big, like, regardless of if you want to like think like that or not, like it is. And I think like what we put into our body, both with that and like, you know, how much water you drink, staying hydrated, you know, having a healthy balance of like alcohol or anything else, like whatever you want to do, totally up to you.
Sure.
You know, but I think it is about getting that information out and being able to say like, you know, a healthy balance, you know, like if you want to extend your life, like this, just do these minimum things.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not like, eat this and you'll live a certain amount of years, but it's like your probability of living longer is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
dude, talk about bartending. 'Cause I have loved seeing like your stuff. And,
thanks, man.
I like,
how do I get into it?
dude, how did you get into it? Like what kind of pushed you to go and do that?
So I went to UCLA, right?
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to go to college. I went to community college here, and
you made the jump though.
I did. I made the jump. I'll explain. So I stayed at community college just to pursue professional golf.
Yeah.
Right. I got into a couple schools. I think I had a scholarship offer to UOP and LMU, and I tore like a small ligament in my wrist my senior year of high school. So like offers went out the door, and I was like, "Dang, man!"
The worst time to get it too.
Yeah, worst time.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I don't want to regret not trying to pursue my dream, because at that time that was my dream. That was it.
Yeah.
Like,
that's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I mean, I know that you've golfed for a long time, but I didn't know that was like you want to go play collegiate and everything.
Yeah, like collegiate professional. That was my dream. Wow. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend 2 years and try to pursue that, right? And so I did that, and it didn't happen. Like, I was like, oh, I'm not progressing in that exponential linear
that you would need to,
that I need to get to that level. So, and during that time, my parents didn't talk to me. My grandparents didn't talk to me. They're very Asian culture.
Yeah.
And they were like,
they're not behind you on that.
No, they didn't talk to me. They didn't talk to me at all.
That's crazy.
And,
do you think, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, like going to a tangent, but like,
Continue.
is that something where like you feel is pretty, like relative and something that's like pretty persistent throughout like a lot of different Asian communities? Like, is that like, because I think when a lot of people talk about it, and it's something that, you know, I've known a lot of people, whether they're Japanese or Chinese or Korean or Hmong, whatever it may be, and like I never know, like I don't want to ask like out of term. But, like, I know that's the way that it's presented in like movies and like in the media, but I didn't know if that was like still something that's current, or if that was like
I don't know if it's like an Asian culture. I know it's pretty immigration culture.
Gotcha.
So if you're coming from a different country,
yeah.
So like even a lot of Indian people, a lot of like Black people too from like different countries are, their parents sacrificed a lot.
Yeah, to get them there.
Yeah. And basically they expect you to just grind your ass off and do whatever it takes. But that's their dream, not necessarily the kids' dreams, right?
So there's probably a disconnect there, because I think
a little bit.
There's probably a lot of people that are in that same boat. It's like, you know, do my parents want me to go to this school to pursue this, or like I'd much rather go and do this.
100%.
But I feel like that's a difficult conversation. So back to what you were saying, like parents were not behind that at all.
Yeah. Parents, grandparents, no one was really behind it. And that was probably the darkest point in my life too, because like I figured that I was working at a restaurant, just trying to make ends meet, and I was just like serving, and I was a part-time sushi chef too, which was kind of cool.
I didn't even know that either.
Yeah,
dude. So you could whip up. You could whip up the sushi.
I could whip up some sushi, bro.
We're gonna have to do that sometime too.
Yeah, so I got into gambling a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just going down a rabbit hole. I was getting fat at the time. This is like before personal training.
Yeah.
So I was in a deep hole. So golf wasn't going well. I broke up with my girlfriend. I was getting fat. I lost all my money.
That's crazy.
So I'm in this hole, and I somehow dug myself out of it. Like basically what we were talking about. And that's maybe the reason why I'm kind of who I am today. Yeah. Like one of my friends was like, "Oh, let's go work out." Sorry, what was the initial question?
We were talking about bartending and how you got there.
Yeah. So I during this time too, like in the restaurant industry, I started making drinks at this restaurant, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I'll continue the story. I basically get into UCLA and all these schools. I basically get straight A's in community college last year, and I basically tell my parents, I was like, yo, I'll go to a dope school like you want me to if you pay for all of it. They say yes. I'm like, okay, cool. I want to go to UCLA. I didn't really like UCLA.
Really?
No. I just didn't like college. I didn't like school.
That's
I was a math major, dude.
Oh, my gosh. No way. No.
So
I can see why you may not have liked it.
But I liked LA.
Okay,
right?
fair enough.
I liked the connections I made from LA, all this stuff. And I was like, how can you stay here? So I had 2 years. I was personal training. I was working like 40 hours a week as a student trainer.
Damn.
That's not cutting it for LA rent.
No, probably not. Huh?
Right. So like I was paying $1,500 for a room in Santa Monica. It's like a shithole, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's not cutting it. I mean,
10 square feet for the bedroom type of thing.
Yeah. So I was making $25 an hour as a trainer, or $20 an hour as a trainer, which is like not great. That's why I do it like separate now. I do it independently.
Yeah.
But which is still not a lot of money to like save up for a long time.
Yeah.
Now. So I was like, okay, what did you really like? You didn't really like serving because I didn't love it. Yeah. But I always wanted to be a bartender. I was like, I just felt like that was something that was cool, right? Yeah. So while I was personal training at UCLA, I took a bartending class when I was 20.
Where'd you do that at?
This school called ABC Bartending.
Oh, it was like an actual school.
Yeah, it's an actual school.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because I know you have to get like actually certified, right? I
mean,
like,
not necessarily. You could work your way up in the industry.
Okay.
So it's basically like you serve for a long time, you bust a long time, and you learn everything you need to. And then you basically just train for it.
Gotcha.
But I was like, okay, I want to expedite that.
Yeah.
I was like, so this school you have to pay, I don't know, I think it's like $300-$400. It's like 8 hours a day for 5 days straight. And they basically teach you every basic drink. Yeah. And you memorize like 500 drinks in that week, and they test you. They test you at the end, right?
It's a lot to memorize.
Yeah. So I did that, and then I just started applying everywhere. I started doing private gigs first because I was like, yo, I'm just whoever needs like any party, just like I'll just pour stuff. You know, you just learn on the side. And then I'm reading bartending books, dude, just because like, how do you expedite it? Because like I started bartending like right when I was 21.
Man, that's pretty good.
And
you got in there early then.
Yo, it was ridiculously early because most people don't start until like 23, 24, 25, even in their 30s. Yeah. And it's because like I knew what I needed to do to stay in LA. And I was like, if it's not getting an office job, it's personal training and bartending.
And that wasn't appealing to you?
That was not appealing.
Not. You're not the type of guy. Anyone that knows you is probably like, I probably, for all that you do, like you'd probably start doing handstands in the middle of your office, like in between calls, or like do like juggling, something like that.
It's not that, man. It's so I have a lot of friends who are in office jobs right now. Yeah. And they'll tell me, yeah, dude, basically you too. You just said that you finish your work super early and you got nothing else to do for the rest of the day. Yeah. So, but I have friends in office jobs that they're really good workers. Yeah. They're efficient. They'll get done by 11 a.m. They get in the office at 8, and they have to be until the office until 5.
So what do you do to kill that time?
And so I was like, yo, what's with all that time? Like, what can you be doing with that time? So, like, that's, you're making money per hour for that. But you could grow as a person. You could learn new skills. You could do whatever. True. Right? Yeah,
definitely.
And that's not appealing to me. Just, like, why have these tasks spread out on a 9-hour time? Yeah. And if you care about it, great. But like, if you don't care about it, why even be there?
Yeah. And I think that's a huge issue, not to go off on another tangent, just like being passionate about your job, like regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
And that's like such an old cliche. Like,
I love how you talk about being a teacher. Like when we first met and you were describing what you love about coaching and teaching, I was like, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's just, and that goes for everything, dude. I don't care if, to me, honestly, like, I'm not just saying it, like you could, you know, collect trash, like you could go collect recycling, but like, if it's something that you love, perfect.
Sure.
It doesn't matter, you know, sure, dude, like to like live in America, like you may need to make like a sufficient amount of money, but like for the most part, go do what makes you happy. Like if that's something where you could see yourself growing, and as long as you're actively applying yourself and trying to get better, like go do what you want to do.
Sure.
You know,
especially when you're young.
Yeah, you have the time. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, if you don't have kids or anything like that, the worst case scenario is you get another job.
Yeah.
It's the worst case scenario.
You're dead on. Okay, so you get the bartending job.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the one in Santa Monica?
No, so that was my first bartending job. Legit was at California Pizza Kitchen.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and I was only there for less than a year. I was there for like 10 months.
Okay.
And I left. So it's California Pizza Kitchen is pretty corporate, right?
Yeah.
And some dude sat at the bar one day, and we had a good conversation. I already remember his exact drinks. It was a Kendall Jackson Chardonnay and a extra dry martini. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he sat down. We had a good conversation. He was like, "Why are you working here?" I was like, "Excuse me? Excuse me, sir? Like, what do you mean?"
Yeah.
He was like, "You're too good for this place. You should not be here."
That was like within a couple minutes of meeting you?
We had, it was probably a conversation for 30 minutes.
Okay. But he could just tell just by talking to you about whatever you were discussing. He was like,
yeah. And I was like, I'm good friends with him now. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Super cool. And I was like, I guess that's a sign. So I started applying to different places. Mm-hmm. And within the week, I got a new job in Santa Monica on a rooftop bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how that happened.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, excuse me. I mean, that's like, it's crazy how you could just see those things like, and obviously somewhere deep down, like you must have felt like, yeah, like maybe I should go try something
well,
out.
It's like affirmations from friends too. And like it.
And at that time, that guy was a stranger.
Dead stranger.
So like that's even more one of those things. And I love hearing stories like that. Like, it's happened to me on occasion. Like it's happened to my wife. Like she's a great example. Like when she used to work at the Apple store here in town, and she used to like talk to customers, like she was selling them stuff. And then, you know, she was working a ton there while going to nursing school. They're like, oh, like, what are your plans? Like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm in nursing school. And there were a lot of the times, like, I couldn't even tell you the number of times that they told her, like, you're going to make a great nurse. And like, it's those things, like you said, that affirmation, almost especially from strangers. Like, you don't even know who I am. Yeah. I could be someone who's terrible at whatever thing I'm going to do, but like, you obviously saw something in the way that we conversed or that we interacted that like made you think that way. So that's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool.
So that's how I got to the bar in Santa Monica.
And you love it now. I mean, you're.
Yeah.
I guess you're not really doing much right now.
Yeah. I mean,
actual bartending, or are you doing like some?
So
stuff?
I did a couple events.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'd done some pretty crazy events in like the last like 2-3 years, or like 2 years. Yeah. And like 500 people.
Wow, it's a lot.
Like, and so like,
do you have some help, or is it just you?
The 500 person I hired a buddy of mine too. Cool. But like I did a couple hundred, which I did by myself, and that's just like fun for me. Like there's a DJ, it's bumping, it's a party, you're just making drinks for everybody. Yeah, and it's not a club or anything, so no one's telling you what to do. It's just like, oh, what do you want? Here you go. And it's a skill too, because you have to like memorize 10 drinks. You just like 10 people like vodka soda, like martini, like old fashioned, and you're just like, okay, I got this. And you have to do it in order. You got your Rolodex in your head. But there's a difference between bartending and mixology. So I love bartending, but I don't want to do that for the rest of my life.
Gotcha.
Like bartending is just like a job. Like you make drinks for people. Yeah. Right. And I guess you're serving, you're just making a drink that people like. Yeah. And sometimes it's just some people come in to get fucked up and like, cool. And some people, they want to have a conversation with you. And the one thing I love about bartending is like a lot of people would come in for, they're just searching for something. Yeah. You know, something to talk to. If you're sitting at the bar, just by yourself or like with another person, you want to have a conversation with someone. Yeah. You know. So
I'm sure. Did you encounter that a lot? Like you just have one-off conversations with like someone that you may never meet again. And they just come in.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to like start a podcast too.
Yeah, and we're gonna get to that. Don't worry, we'll get to that.
Because like we talked about, conversating and learning about people is awesome.
Yeah.
Like you can learn something from anybody.
Yeah.
Like, and to be open-minded in like a sense to really like listen to someone and like hear, especially at a bar, like sometimes it's their problems.
Yeah.
And just like,
I'm sure a lot of the time it's their problem.
Yeah, and it's a lot of like mostly older than me. So I'm like, yo, you lived through more life than me. I should listen and really pay attention. Yeah. Because maybe it could like expedite me. Like, oh, this guy did that, I'm gonna go this way. Yeah. You know. But I also met a lot of cool people because of Santa Monica. That a lot of connections. Yeah, for sure. So.
I noticed I didn't even put it down on my little notes here, but I definitely want to talk about it. Go through the business that you've started this year. Just give me a brief breakdown, because it kind of does tie into the bartending mixology scene.
Sure. Do you know what bitters are?
I do. It's like flavoring that you're adding to mixed drinks.
So like, totally off. No, it's close. So like, a lot of people don't know what bitters are. Mm-hmm. They've been around since like ancient Egypt. They used to like flavor like wines and other alcohols because it tastes so bad. Like during Prohibition, like the alcohol was terrible, butthole. Yeah, right. So they use bitters to like smooth it out. Yeah, and bitters are basically like flavor extracts from like herbs and spices and like fruits, all this stuff. Yeah, and I like to consider like bitters as the spices, the salt and pepper to like cocktails. So like you would use salt, pepper, garlic for like, I don't know, like seasoning for a steak or something like that. For a cocktail, you'd maybe use some like orange bitters or some like different flavoring extracts like lavender tinctures or like a hibiscus tincture or something like that to like give it a little spark, give it like that, like spice. Yeah, you know, just make it not basic or something. Also, like if you're for like all the ladies out there, like if you're or anyone actually, anyone if you just like your vodka waters or vodka tonic or something like that, or vodka sodas, like you just put like a couple of drops of these flavor extracts, it gives it like real flavor and it's not adding any calories to it, you know? So basically I did that 500 person party, and I didn't know a ton of bitters. I only knew one bitters. So the basic big bitters that's been around since the late 1800s is Angostura. Gotcha. Okay. And that's the only bitters I knew. And I did this bartending event, that the one I was just talking about with my buddy. And at the end of it, it was like 2 a.m. He just hands me a bottle. He's like, oh, these are mine. These are my homemade bitters. Try them out. And I was like so tired. I was 2 a.m. I was like, I need a drink. Yeah. Because we started at 4 p.m. ended at 2 a.m. Yeah. You got to clean up and everything. So you were just going. I was tired. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I want to make a drink. So I make this drink, this old fashioned. Old fashioned's my favorite drink. Yeah. Right? Classic. I love those. Classic, right? Classic. Love them. And I make it. I sit back on my couch and I taste it. I was like, yo, what is this? This is the best old fashioned I've ever had. Yeah. Right. And I go back to his bar the next day. We worked at a different bar. I was like, bro, the world needs to taste this. The world needs to know about these. And that was like that big change, because I'm sure you've had tons and tons of old fashions in your life before, but like you knew that was it that really that made it that. Yeah. And that's when I got into mixology, which is different than bartending. Like mixology is like you're using syrups, using bitters, using tinctures, you're using all these things and being creative. Yeah. Like, you know how cooks, it's an art. Yeah, definitely. I would 100% agree. So mixology is an art for cocktails. Yeah. And I was like, I wanted to learn about it. I bought a ton of like botanist books, like using to learn herbs and spices to make a really good cocktail. Yeah. You know? So yeah. And then basically during quarantine, we had this idea the whole time, and then we pulled the trigger. We were like, we thought about this idea, and I was like, I had the idea of like, let's start it. And then we've been talking about it for months and months and months and months. Yeah. And we pulled the trigger and just started like we got an LLC, we got business bank accounts. So you guys are actually making bitters now, selling them. You got the license, you got the name, you got everything. So we have to deal with like everything's like, we have to get FDA approval, alcohol and tax and trade bureau. Gotcha. So right now that's why our website isn't launched yet. Okay. Because you're just waiting on that. Yeah, just waiting on that. But I was like, yo, we have product, like let's sell it. And we sold out. That's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy how you can just from without even, I mean, just putting the word out there on social, like Instagram, mouth or social media. Yeah. That's crazy. It's like no ads yet, no nothing like that. And I was like, whoa. So that just happened a few days ago. Yeah. So I was like, well, this could potentially be a thing. So I'm just
Yeah.
rolling with the punches and see what happens.
That's awesome though. I mean, that's like, and again, that's like one of those things, you know, you can make it or break it. Like you lost both your jobs. Good. I'm going to go start something else that could replace that. I'm going to go start a company. And that's like, and that's something that I truly love about, you know, really just like people have all different types of ideas on like
100%.
the American dream and like ideal, but like that's
Fact.
something that's real. A lot of businesses closed up this year due to lockdowns and everything. Super sad. Not a fan of all the policies, to be completely frank. But a lot of other ones have risen up. Like people take advantage, and I think that's like something that's it makes me really proud to live in a place where like that's a reality. Like you guys could have had that idea early on, and within 6 months, like it's up and rolling, and you actually have a business. And I have no doubt that it will succeed. Like trust me. Like, I'm not just saying that online, but even for some reason, if it didn't, right? And that's like no chance.
Yeah.
You tried it, and like you did it.
I mean, you learned a lot. You learn a lot. Like I thought about that. I was like, if it ended tomorrow, you learned so much things about the alcohol industry. Learning to start a business bank accounts, LLCs. Same way, if like you probably feel about the podcast too. You're like, yo, like if this ended tomorrow, or like whatever, I learned so much about. We're talking about video cameras and like mics and like all this stuff. You're like, yo, this is super cool. I know this. Yeah. So if anyone talks to me about it, which is probably not going to happen. Like it's definitely not going to end tomorrow. No, 100%. It's probably going to be on for many years.
Yeah. Hope so.
No, it's going to happen for sure. And but you just learn through the process and keep growing as a person. Yeah. And like, what's that quote Jim Carrey said all the time? Like you can be really bad at the things that you don't want to do. So might as well take a chance on something that you love.
That's good. That's probably good to know. Like, don't stress about those things that you suck at already.
Yeah,
like,
you could be really bad at things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah. No, I love that. How was that like experience of like having to like navigate starting a business? Like, do you think that's something that really anyone could do? Because I feel like a lot like the misconception is like, yeah, you always hear that you could start a business, but like that's too many steps. Like it's too many steps to go through this and get my name certified and you know, make an LLC. Like how was that experience for you? Like opening everything up?
And is it difficult or is
is it difficult? Can anyone do it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's called Google. You type it in.
Boom. That easy.
Yeah. I mean, like how to start a business, do it on Google. What licenses do you need? Type it in on Google. The thing is like everyone thinks everything's hard and everyone thinks that it's always a process, which it is. But you have the steps in front of you. Like you have the internet, which is like my parents couldn't do this. Yeah. Your grandparents definitely couldn't do this. Mm-hmm. So you live in a world where it's relatively easy to start a business, to like even like a lot of people like nowadays are investing. So in stocks and like whatever like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's easier now. So might as well take a chance and do the things you can now, because back then you couldn't. You're doing disrespect for like every generation before you if you're not doing these things. You know?
But I think that's definitely like a stopgap. Like people look at those things and they're like, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So obviously if it's something that you think will pay off, like you need to put in the work to do it. And that's something that I think a lot of people just take for granted, and they're like,
I mean, objectively the steps are easy, but it's way harder.
Yeah. And a lot of the times it's being patient, and people aren't patient. Yeah. You know, like they want that instant gratification. They want to see the work that they put in immediately yield those results. And a lot of the times that's not the reality. Like,
I mean, it's nice though to get a paycheck. Like,
for sure.
It's definitely nice to work and you get money. Yeah. I mean, that's nice. Like I get it.
No, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I do enjoy getting paid the once a month that I get paid as a teacher. But like, the process to get there like involved 5 years of school, 5.5 years of school. Yeah. And I understood that. Like no matter what. And it doesn't even have to be college. You don't have to do college. Maybe you want to go to trade school. Maybe you want to, be a mechanic. Maybe you want to go do this. Maybe you want to take a special certification. You want to be a chef. Anything that's really worth it, you're going to have to put the work in for. Yeah. And it's not,
if you're going to be good at it.
Yeah. If you're going to be good at it. Yeah. And then you value it. Yeah. Like people, you could just be handed something. You're not going to value it. Yeah. Like
you're not necessarily you value more, you also become more valuable.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true. I mean, you become an asset when you actually put in the work to get there.
100%.
You could just be, I think that's huge. Like how do you want to like impart that on the next generation? Like whether it's your kids or your family, like raise them to value those things.
Do you think you're gonna have kids soon?
Dude, I don't know. if Maddie's listening, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that's definitely like in the next 5 years type of thing.
Okay.
I would, if not before that, like 3 or 4, maybe 5. But
that's cool, man.
I can't wait to be a parent. There's like so many things.
You're gonna be a good dad. You
I
already got the
I'm
dad
excited.
mustache, bro.
Dude, I already have that going on. I'm telling you, like I'll work really hard to get in the best shape possible, and then right when I have a kid, it'll just come crashing down.
Don't say that.
It would never. But I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's just like, and that's like a reason why I love teaching.
Yeah.
Like being able to, and obviously it's way different. I'm not having these philosophical, like deep meaning conversations with them, especially 13-year-olds. That would never happen. But
really, I feel like 13 has like
they can, but it's not on the subjects that you think.
Okay.
It's just like not weird stuff, but it's like, oh, that's like weird that came into your head.
Sure.
Like you want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Just not stuff that adults would talk about. But that's cool because you get perspectives from people that you would never ever get from anyone else. Like you ever talk to someone and you're like, yeah, that's not the way I would have gone about doing that or thinking about that at all.
Yeah.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I love doing a podcast. There are
Sure.
so many people that I've already talked to and that I want to have on. And like I said, I don't know how many people even listen to this whole thing all the way through. Hopefully some people, but if not, like this is like the
Some
one
people
part that I've been
definitely do.
saying. Some people definitely
Yeah.
do. Like not every episode that I have on here is going to be 100% serious. We're going to talk about like the issues plaguing America or our community right away. But like, I want to like learn about people's experiences.
Sure.
I want to see how they got to where they're at. And if someone can even just take one little sliver of advice or information from that person, it's worth it. Yeah. I'm, like I said in my last episode, I'm 24. I have a degree, but that doesn't really mean that much. Like it means something to me because I had to work for it, but like I'm not an expert in any particular one thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't have the answers for everything.
Sure.
And I will never ever tell anyone that I do. But I think these conversations are powerful. Like we've been going almost an hour already, and like we could just keep going and going and going. But on to talking about podcasts. You recently started a podcast yourself.
Yeah.
Promote that thing. Let's talk about it.
Yo, I want to thank you too because you don't know this yet, but you're the reason why it launched so quickly.
Really?
So
I put the pressure?
No. So we went running in January, February, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about starting a podcast.
Yeah.
And I already got the cover art. I already got all the equipment, right?
You had it all the way back then?
I had everything, dude.
You had the cover art back then?
Yeah.
I like a cover art, by the way.
Thank you. I had everything back then.
I didn't know that.
And I recorded just like a couple episodes just like by myself with some people. Mm-hmm. Just never did it. It was on my whiteboard. Yeah. And you were like, oh, maybe I should start a podcast too. I was like, yeah, for sure, man. Do it. Yeah. Right. And come around last month, right? It was still on my whiteboard, and I saw you post your episode, like your intro episode.
Like 10 minutes, yeah.
And I was like, you piece of shit, Nate. No.
You told him months ago that you were going to do that.
Right. And so I pulled up the cover art. I put everything together. I downloaded everything. Yeah. And I recorded the first episode, and I put it up the next day.
Crazy. Just to do it.
I was just like, just do it, dude. Yeah. Just do it. This dude, Christian, has been talking about it like since you said you were going to do it in January. Yeah. And I want to thank you for that, man. Because
you're welcome. I didn't even intend to do that.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't. But it kicked me in the butt. And it really made me like objectively like get it done that day. Yeah. Because and that's what I love about some people too, because like especially my friends and people who I usually spend time with, I was like, they pushed me in some way, and you didn't know it, dude, but like that meant a lot to me when you did that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things where, I mean, it was like I didn't have the cover art and everything, but I bought all this, or at least a good majority of this equipment in like June, kind of figured it out, finalized, but then it took me months to like finalize and be like, I'm gonna start it, and then I told myself, it's crazy. I told myself, I'm gonna start it at the beginning of the new year. Like, let's just start on a clean slate. But then I was like, why wait?
We'll just do it.
Why? Let's just do it. So then I was like, I'm just going to do it. It could pop off. It could not pop off. No one could listen. I don't care. I'm just going to go out and put it out there. And that was like something where, like I said in like a couple of my episodes already, like it's been something that I've been wanting to do. Like getting into that and just having that.
I love it, man.
That place to like have discourse with people and talk has been awesome. Yeah. And it's going to let me honestly like talk to people that I would never even think about reaching out to.
100%.
You know, like I want to get in touch with people maybe that I, you know, briefly knew or heard about through college.
Yeah.
You know, where they just have a unique,
Yeah.
you know, look at the world. But
Yeah. Also, you were talking about you know, just like people listening or whatever.
Yeah.
And like if they hear people, do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
yeah, I love him too.
Okay. So there's like this one big thing that really resonated with me. He talked about like 2-3 years ago. He was like, we're nodes in a network, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every person's a node, and you could either choose the fact that, oh, you're small, like you're one person in 8 billion people,
Yeah.
and everything you do doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, it's relevant.
Or you could choose to believe that what you do and say and everything means exponentially what you were just talking about, because you're going to at least know 1,000 people in your lifetime.
It's true.
I'm going to at least know 1,000 people in my lifetime by name. So just between you and me, we have access to a network of 1 million people.
Mm-hmm.
So you add that to one more person, between you, me, and another person, 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000, you have access to 1 billion people.
Yeah.
So that's 1/8 of the population. So whatever you and I say right here, and whatever you say on the podcast to any person, is way more important than you think.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, now that you broke down all the math, see, good thing you are a math major. You just broke down that math immediately, that easily. But yeah, no, I mean, that's like, and again, like that was like a hang up. I was just like, like, and that was the thing. I'm like, we were talking about even before we started, like I'm very detail oriented, and like I want it to be consistent and like perfect, as close, you know, to it as it could be. But I was like, at a certain point, I was just like, let's just do it, you know. And that's like one of those things where I've gotten better and better at just like pulling the trigger on things. And I think, like you said, like, you know, you doing that thing, like,
what thing
was I talking about? I don't even remember. Like how I inspired you to get your started, or just like to go off and do it. Like you woke up. Like there are a lot of people where I do the same thing, where I'm looking at them, I'm like, dude, am I working hard enough? Like you need that check. Like if like I don't want to be complacent.
Sure.
Like I'm gonna go read a lot more books. Hearing that you read all those books in like that 10 days, like no joke. Some days I have a huge stack of books.
Yeah.
I'm slowly working my way through some.
Sure.
But every time I see you read, like no joke, like on your Instagram story, I'm like, I should definitely be reading that. Like, because I know you journal and you read all the time, and I'm like, dude, I gotta like. There's so much that you can gain just through a simple task like reading, and I have all the tools. I have a bunch of books, and I don't do it as often. So, like, that's one of those things that you know I'm picking up tit for tat. But yeah, dude, your podcast, like,
it's the Nate Biltz podcast, by the way. It's pretty easy name, just my name.
Yeah, it's his name. It's crazy to see that you know you're already pumping out those episodes, which is awesome. Yeah, like, how do you like, are you kind of doing like a similar? I mean, I've already listened to like 2 or 3 of yours.
So you're organized. I'm not organized. So I respect that about you.
Okay.
I respect I respect that a lot about you. But like, ever since, because I didn't sit down and plan all this out and do it. Like that day when I heard your intro, I was like, you're not doing enough, dude. Like, you got to do this right now. It's been on your list, and you're just going to knock as many out as you can for now. Yeah. And you just want, because like I want to learn about people too, and I knew who I wanted on. And what was your question? Like what?
I was just like, so like similar type of setup. Like you just want to talk to people, like because a lot of podcasts there's goals, like you know, let's
like be a love podcast or like something like that.
But like, so like, what's like your format? Like, what would you like categorize it as?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of selfish in my opinion. Like, I've had so many conversations with people in the past that I wish I would listen back and I would remember it. I'm like, oh, what did we talk about? Like, I really want to hear like what he said or she said, and that's basically it. Like, I want to have these conversations with people, document it, and I want to learn, because like I know I don't know something that they don't know. Yeah, and they have experiences that I've never had. Definitely. And so like that's my format. Like, I just love people, and people are great. And you know,
you're such a nice guy. You're so optimistic, just like me. Like that's it's hard, you know, to be optimistic and always see that good in people. But I think like everyone needs to try to, like, even I still need to work on that. It's not like I'm not perfect by any means.
I mean,
like,
everyone has a little bit light, bro. You just gotta just search through the darkness for it.
Exactly. It's like, you know, and this is a great way, and it's something that I've said even from like on that first kind of short 10-minute thing that I put out, 11-minute thing. I was like, I think people are a lot more similar than they make it out to be. And I think
How so?
just in so many things in terms of really like how they act with each other.
Yeah.
You could see people, you know, getting really pissed off at each other, saying things that, you know, have no reason to be said online through the news, through the media. And a lot of this stuff, no one would ever say face to face with a person. One, because a lot of the time I find that like most people are at least like self-conscious enough to see that's really rude to say to someone like face to face.
Like what?
Like, I don't know. Like you see people calling each other, like I don't even have Twitter anymore, but like you see like politics is a great example.
You're not talking about like podcasts. Like you wouldn't say what we're talking about in person.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying like in general, like,
yeah, definitely like media stuff. You wouldn't say in person for sure.
No,
right?
no. Like you know, politics is a great one because people are so devout and, you know, so fired up about like what their side believes that, you know, it's like if someone disagrees with you, like you hate their guts. Yeah. And a lot of the times, most people, I think, they wouldn't be that hostile towards someone if they sat down like me and you and they just talked about things. So that's what I said on my first episode. I was like, I think people are a lot more similar than they make it out to be, not only in terms of like what they may think and in terms of like coming to an understanding or a compromise, but like people are nice if you give them the chance. You know, it's like, and the media does a terrible job at helping people get through that. Yeah, it's bad. So that's why I want to have people who I disagree with on, people who I agree with on, people who like I know nothing about their life or maybe their ethnic background or whatever it may be. That's who I want to have on because.
What's the meaning behind the name? I forgot.
So it's kind of like just what I explained, like the civil society. Like I think in general, and again, this isn't the fault of just people. It's like really a part, you know, at least at fault from like the social media companies, Twitter, the Instagrams, the Facebook, who literally have an algorithm built in to drive like disagreement. Yeah. It's an actual thing.
Yes, it is.
And why? Like I said, if you were just to sit down with someone and have like a logical, rational conversation, we could find solutions to major key problems. And like that's what I want to do. The civil society is like having people sit down.
Oh, that's beautiful, bro.
I could be completely at odds with someone. In fact, I want to have those people on. Sure. And like we could talk and then we could walk away at the end of an interview or at the end of an episode and be like, yeah, I still don't really agree with them, but at least now I know they're thinking.
You understand.
I at least understand. Yes. And I think that's like the huge issue is that we don't understand and we don't even try to. It's just immediate like defamation and like, you know, you're the worst. It's that type of stuff. Like, I mean, have you dealt with that like at all? Like, do you see that?
Oh, 100%. I'm very open-minded though. Like when someone's like, well, talking about politics, I'll ask why, and I'll be really interested. I'm like, I really want to know why you think this way. Or if they disagree with me on certain things, I'm like, okay, what do you believe? And I really want to know because I could be wrong. And it's good to know that in a conversation, in an argument, one person is objectively right and wrong. Yeah. It's good to know that person isn't you. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And so like everyone has their beliefs and stuff that they grew up with. And they're ingrained, they're true, like religion and stuff too. Yeah. Like politics, they're true. They're true being until you go out into the world and you become an adult and you're like, wow, everything I know might not be correct. And it's good to search for that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like there are more difficult subjects to talk about than others, of course. Like it's not just politics, it's everything. Like you could talk about like relationships. You could talk about, you know,
relationship is a big one.
It's a huge one, you know, like how should this person treat this person? Like
parenting.
People could vary differently. Like those are big things.
Yes, sir.
And then there's a million smaller things like, oh, do you like your old fashioned with or without bitters? Yeah. Do you like this? Do you like that? It's just like the everyday minutia, the little things. Yeah.
And a lot of people argue about like
the dumbest
anything.
Things. Yeah, the dumbest thing. And sometimes I'm at fault on that. Like, well, does it matter if I'm right or not? Like, even if I'm not right, like, or even if I am right, does it matter? Yeah. Does it really, like, there's just stuff like that. Yeah. And
just takes up headspace.
It energy
does. Space.
It does. Yeah. And that's why I'm, you know, trying to, at least in the realm of politics and kind of with everything. Like, I'm very, like you said, I'm like you. I'm open-minded. I want to be very, you even if I don't agree with it or something doesn't sit right with me, like I at least want to know like what the rationale there is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, and this is something that I found only through talking with people,
Mm-hmm.
like, for example, someone thinks that, we should increase, welfare or whatever it may be. And like, maybe I'm like, well, why would we take tax dollars to do that? And then I talk with someone and, their family's been going through a rough time and they've had family members die, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe, like your father died and now there's only one person providing an income and you have 5-6 other siblings at home.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a random example that I just pieced together out of nowhere, but
Yeah.
that's like, those scenarios exist.
Yeah, you don't know what people go through.
And a lot of the time, I don't think people, and if you're someone who just doesn't care about people at all, then like this doesn't apply to you.
Sure.
Because like you're not going to change, but
Yeah.
like if you care about people, at least in like the minimum, sense of the word, like you would understand that.
Yeah.
Like, of course.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm not going to vilify you for
Mm-hmm.
like wanting the government to spend more on that. And that's
Yes,
just, that's for everything. But
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts on like using a podcast as like a medium to like have those discussions?
Good question. I mean, I definitely think like you can. I think it's a good platform to do that because you could talk for a long period of time and really go through things. But yeah, that's an awesome, if that sounds like a goal of yours. It sounds like that's what you want to do, and like actually go through these issues that you don't disagree with people with, and like sort through them and not just find out for yourself, but like have them understand like points that they would not think about, And I mean, I never really thought about that in a podcast. That's really interesting that you say that. That's super cool. Like that's awesome that you want to do it in that way.
Just a Google search and look up what does civil mean, and I'm like, yep, this is what people should be with each other.
Yeah.
No,
that's great, man.
like, do you feel now that you've been doing this, your podcast, like, do you feel like you've at least had some conversations where you're like, yeah, someone listening like may have like taken away like a cool like life experience from that.
Yeah.
Like, do you think you've experienced that so far?
Yeah. What do you mean? Like someone's like taken something from it that could benefit them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
100%. Especially like learning. I've had some cool people on so far.
Yeah, I've listened to a couple of them. Really cool.
Yeah, really cool people. So like, I have a couple who like very big in like the media world.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will never really experience like maybe that type of fame or something like that. And so actually, like talking through that. So like the fame one too, a lot of people won't experience that much fame. Another buddy of mine, his mom talks about having colon cancer and he had to take care of her like diapers and everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people won't go through that either.
Yeah.
So like it makes life put in perspective a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could learn from their experiences, and if something similar happens to you, or like, my life isn't that bad. When you hear something shitty like that happening, you're like, I am a piece of shit for thinking that my life is shitty because I have a house over my head. I have food on the table. I have a great job. Yeah. And then you hear that and you're like, wow, I need to stop thinking that way.
Like definitely eye-opening, I'm sure, on a lot of things, like things that you may have take for granted. Yeah.
And then
definitely.
the opposite side, you're like, whoa, I don't want to be famous because of like all the other things, like, I don't want a camera in my face all the time. I don't want,
stuff like that. Yeah. So like, where do you see, and this is like so open-ended, and then I want to just like talk about whatever topics we can, like, but like, where do you see yourself going? I know, like, I even asked you before and you're like, dude, I'm just here for the ride. Like, where do you see yourself going in like the next 5-10 years?
Yeah,
like,
dude. I mean, like, the goal, like life goal is do things I want to do when I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And like, obviously have the means to take care of things, but the thing that makes me the most happy is meaningful work with meaningful people, and if I could do that for the rest of my life, I'll be good.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's cool. Like, everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants to like be successful in their things, but ultimately it's like have meaningful work with meaningful people and do the things I want to do, like that all sounds great. Like, just why not? Like, and certain jobs like can pin you down and stuff like that, but that's why I don't want to have an office job. Yeah. But ultimately, like, like you said, just wherever the wind takes me. Like, I don't know. You asked if I want to settle in Fresno. Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows? Some people are like, I hate Fresno, all this stuff. I'm like, why hate Fresno? It's a good spot to settle down.
I love Fresno.
Yeah, Fresno's so beautiful, bro. I love Fresno.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not where I'm at right now. They're like, yo, why if you love Fresno, why aren't you in Fresno? It's because like I'm enjoying LA right now.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's really cool. I think that's like really that's actually really good advice for me, because like I am like a classic, like maybe not overthinker, but like planner, you know, like I need to have
that's
the
awesome,
next 5 10 it is, but like you, like Jocko says, right, you don't want to be on any of the extremes, right? You want to kind of be like right in the middle. Like I don't want to be so planned out to like where I can't be spontaneous and go pursue something that you know I might really like.
Sure.
And I don't, because I don't want to, you know, get out of my schedule or get out of, you know, the things that I'm committed to. And I think like that's something that a lot of people, you know, could take away with. A lot of people, like myself included, are so just like locked in, like this is the plan, let's pursue the plan, that you can miss out on
a
things.
lot of people get scared and in the not knowing, and I feel like the not knowing is the most beautiful part, because you really don't know what's going to happen next year. You think you do. You might have that year planned out.
I thought that 2020 would be great, like in December, you know, like I'm like, dude, 2020
it's going to be awesome. But
you know,
you
everyone
don't know.
like 2020 is my year,
you
know, like everyone's saying stuff like that. Was it?
Like you might think you have it planned out, but like something can happen. Parent could die. Like you get a promotion, you get a job offer for some crazy teaching position in Florida or some shit.
Hurricanes, I probably wouldn't go. I probably
but say like head soccer coach of the high school, like
everything's lining
up. You're like, whoa, that wasn't part of the plan, you know, but it's possible. You don't know. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, no, and I love that. I love that's like how like your outlook is on life, because there would be a lot of people, and you like take advantage of like that attitude and that outlook, because
how so? What do you mean?
There are some people who could do the same thing where they're like, yeah, I'm just kind of going wherever the wind takes me type of thing.
Oh, like hippie-ish?
Yeah, like in that way, but they're like, they don't take advantage of situations. Like, you know, they're like, I'm here for the ride. I don't have everything planned, but then they don't capitalize. Like you could have looked back, you know, you could look back 6 months ago and be like, let's say the night after you had your friend's bitters that you're now in business with, and you could have been like, man, that was so good, but you couldn't have. Maybe you didn't go down to his bar. Maybe you didn't go bring that up.
Tight with them.
See, imagine if like you were just like easygoing and, you know, like you're going where the wind takes you, but you didn't take advantage of that opportunity. Yeah. Like you didn't just say, yeah, I have a couple hours to kill. I'm gonna go down there and just tell them again, hey, I love this. Like you should get this into people's hands. You may not be out where you're at now.
I mean, what you said in the beginning, like chase your curiosities, that was gonna be the name of my podcast, The Curiosity Chaser.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah. And but like everything I do is planned. It's just calculated risks. Yeah. Right. It's just not planned out to, like, my days are planned out. I plan it out all the time. Right. Yeah. I plan out the hours mostly, but it's not, it's like one day at a time. Yeah. Like, I don't really like fucking with anxiety. And a lot of people, when they think too much in the future, they get anxiety. Yeah. When they go to the past, they get depressed. Yeah. And so, like, I know that if I think, like you said, 5 years, 10 years, I'm just like, oh no, everything's got to line up. I freeze and I just like sit on the couch and do nothing. Yeah. And I know that about myself, but like you will do the opposite. If you don't have that shit planned out, you might do what you might be the guy on the couch. Yeah, it's true. So everyone's different, bro. You know? Yeah, no, everyone is different. I think that highlights like something really good. Like no two people are the same. You never know like what you're going to come across. Yeah. But yeah, like I completely agree. I think that this year has definitely just been like one of those where, you know, you got to recalibrate and kind of see where you're at. And then I'm honestly super thankful that like no one in my close circle has died or gotten super sick from it. I agree. I have friends who've gotten it, but because like I said, bro, for me, it's been a year of growth. I've learned a lot about myself. Yeah. And I mean, skills wise too. And I think a lot of people can still take advantage of it. Definitely. Just because like people are home working. Yeah. You know, I have a friend who, he works for JP Morgan, right? That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool. But he usually goes to the office every day. Now he moves every month to somewhere cool. Oh, because he's working from home? Because he's working from home. That'd be really cool. Like if I could go do that, I would 100% do that. You know, just like, yeah, I'm gonna hop on a jet and go to
XYZ and go work here for a month.
Yeah.
I think there will be a shift. Like, what do you think? I think there will be a huge shift in what it looks like to work in America, like after all this, because
I have no clue, man.
I think there's going to be a huge shift, mainly because
I know you don't want to teach in a classroom. I mean, I know you want to teach in a classroom.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Like certain things like that.
Yeah. Like that has to happen.
You can't ever take away.
I don't think so.
But
I
mean,
think so. You never know.
You never know. Like you really don't. It showed us that at least we can adapt and we can do it. But it's not as good as like the real thing. It's
definitely like I'm worried for all the. I don't want a doctor, a dentist, any person who graduated this year because like you didn't do it. You just like did it online. Like I don't know. Like maybe that's just being pessimistic or like not trusting the system. But
I mean it hasn't. I mean there's a lot of truth to it. Like people missed out on a lot of things, but and that's like something where like I'm not necessarily like worried about like AI, like artificial intelligence, like taking over mass production, like of like anything in like the next, in automation in the next like 15, 20 years. But like, if we're being honest, like it's coming. Like at some point, it's something like that is going to come along, and like we need to be able to like adapt, like how we adapted to a pandemic, and I had to go teaching online. People had to go working from home, like. Complete shift of like the cultural setting as well, like going out and getting a drink or like eating is way different, and but like those are the types of things where I'm just like the right attitude to have is like roll with it, just like whatever comes along, like just roll with it, just go with it, because you never know.
I mean, yes, but sometimes it's shitty because there's a lot of people in like the service industry from where I'm from that have kids. And especially if you're in LA, you have your actors and stuff, and you don't have any money. We're living paycheck to paycheck, and they're completely broke, bro. I mean, there's people here too, like don't have a job. Yeah, unemployment's not great money. No, and you telling them like roll with the punches is like it's hard to say good to. Yeah, it's hard to say good to when you can't feed your kid, when you can't
100%.
pay rent.
100%.
And like looking at it from that perspective, you're like, damn, like how can I roll with the punches when all these shitty things are happening to me? And it's hard to relate. Like I'm blessed that I saved up, and you're blessed that you still have a job.
I am very,
and a lot of people aren't that fortunate are not in that position to. Yeah. And so like that's one thing that like COVID's really bugging me about, like business wise and like job wise, is like these people, or including myself, didn't ask not to work.
That you didn't make that decision.
I didn't make that decision. All these people didn't make that decision. And how, like, it's hard to roll with the punches like that. Yeah. But it's really hard to
so
say
out of your control.
Yeah.
So out of your control.
That's why, like, the economy needs to get
get rolling. We know what you're saying. Yeah, no, and I completely agree. It's going to be really interesting to kind of see what the repercussions are at like a state level and a national level, just in terms of not only the economy, but like
economic level for sure.
Where did certain decisions land us? Yeah. And to be fair, I will be 100% fair, and I won't put this on, at least this part, on anyone, whether you're a Democratic governor or a legislature, or a legislator, or whatever your role is, right or left, I don't care. No one saw it coming, and there's really no playbook, right? Like there's
no
zero
one
playbook.
Saw it. This is the weirdest movie ever.
I give people, I want to be fair there, and I understand it. Just a lot of it, at least for me, it's like, and I think a lot of people are seeing now, like not only here in California, but like everywhere. Like there are certain things that just don't make sense, haven't made sense, and the most infuriating part, if we're being honest, is just like. The hypocrisy, like, and I don't even want to get on politics that much, but like, I don't ever want to be back in a situation where I have the governor of my state or a lawmaker in my state, whether it's California or it's happened all over the place,
telling you to stay
inside, and then they're at a party doing X, Y, and Z, or they're outside not obeying their rules. Like it wasn't just here; it's been all over,
everywhere.
But that just goes to show they're human too. I'm not mad at them for doing that.
Yeah, because if you were in that position, what the fuck would you do? Like you don't know.
Idea. Yeah, I have no idea.
It's such a hard decision.
I have no idea. It'll be. Again, we'll find out.
We're not running for government, guys.
No, we are not. Yeah, man. Like any other thing you want to talk about? Like,
No, that was
what
great,
else?
brother.
What else?
You want to keep going?
I don't know.
We could talk about stocks.
Oh, dude, let's talk. Let's talk. Where you at? Where you at right now? You don't have to tell me like what you're holding or how much you made, but like what has your been like your outlook on everything?
No, stocks is crazy right now. So I own a decent amount of stocks that I invested a lot in March, especially
Nice.
like
Buy the dip.
Buy the dip. So I'm up like 200% since March,
That's awesome.
which is like crazy. And stocks are just been skyrocketing, and I don't know whether to sell or not, just because like and it doesn't make sense because like it's shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Like the economy's like not great. People are losing their jobs, and
It makes no sense.
it makes no sense.
More coronavirus cases, stocks go up.
Yeah.
More deaths, stocks go up.
Yeah.
It's weird. It makes
Also,
no
I
sense.
own a little bit of Tesla, and I don't know why it's still going up. It just doesn't make sense. Like a car company like is worth $700 per stocks now, and I bought it before the split.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And like their market cap is like larger than like I just saw a figure yesterday.
Market cap. What's that mean?
Like their total market cap, like how much they're
Like evaluated?
Yeah, here. I'll just give you an actual definition here. I feel like Joe Rogan looking up definitions.
Yo, Jamie, pull it up.
Yeah, Jamie, pull it up. Total dollar market value of a company's outstanding shares of stock. So like that's
It's just their like total net worth or total. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's similar. So like, but theirs is massive. Like that's a good indicator of like how large the company is and like how well they can perform. And like they're the largest U.S. automaker in that.
Yeah.
Like they like are larger than like not Toyota, but like all those other ones, car makers that fit into it.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
And Elon's just tweeting all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the one who like got me tripping about AI when he talked about it.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh yeah, in 3 years, AI is going to take over. I'm like, come on, bro.
I hope not.
I hope not.
I hope not.
He's a smart guy though. You never know.
He's definitely a genius.
Yeah.
But
do you have like 401ks and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've gotten like all that set up. I've done like, I have like a personal one, like where like I invest in like ETFs and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I have my Roth.
So you got everything.
I kind of have like all my bases covered,
That's
which
awesome.
I'm really thankful for. I think that
Doing that before like, I wouldn't say like before you're 28 is ideal.
Key.
Ideal.
And I'm not, it's crazy because like I even follow some like meme pages, like some stock meme pages on Instagram
really?
that are hilarious. I'll show you, dude. They're just, you'll look at them and you'll just start laughing. Yeah. And they'll like make fun of like, you know, young kids. Cause let's be honest, there's some kids who are like 17, 16 who like use their parents' social and like start investing. Yeah. And they'll just like blow money on like random things. And like they'll, like with Robinhood, do you remember? I don't know if you saw that article.
They sued. They got sued.
Well, they got sued. Yeah. But then, like earlier this year, a kid committed suicide
because they glitched. It glitched. It was like negative $170,000.
Like crazy. But like, he was. I think that kid was in high school.
He's in high school.
I think so.
Yeah.
And if not, he was very, very young.
He's very young.
Either way, like, I think it's great to start young though. Like. All that to say,
but like Robinhood, like one thing that Robinhood did is made trading easy.
Very true.
Because it was free trading. Yeah. It was like there's no.
And that kind of shifted everything because now every other major brokerage and platform.
Yeah. But the thing is, yes, but also a lot of kids like our age and younger. Yeah. They treat it like gambling.
And it is not.
It's not.
It is not. It is not.
So, yeah, they gamified trading, which is like good and bad. Like it's getting more people into the market, it's getting more people investing, but it's also getting like that kid's a perfect example of like, like what money could do to you. Yeah.
And you need to be, I think it's just like, you need to do your research, like know what you're doing. You know, and that's something that I've try to be really conscious of, like make sure that I'm, you know, making the right moves and I'm not just, you know, doing something random or something that I might think.
How do you feel about Bitcoin?
Bro, I don't know. I think I really have no idea. Like truthfully,
I
definitely don't know enough. I don't really get the whole mining thing. My biggest like hesitation is more of a moral one, not like I don't want to buy into it.
What do you mean moral? How does anything trading do with moral?
Well, the biggest issue from like what I understand, and it's been like, it's good and bad. Yeah. I'm trying to think if it's even could really be good. I guess a lot of people see it as really good. It's like it's decentralized and no government can control it, right? Yeah. It's cryptocurrency, which I definitely think will have its place in the future.
Sure.
Like without a doubt, like I know like at some point I'm going to have to like probably diversify and transition into there. I just think because of that though, it can be abused. Like they have tracked things of like sex trafficking can be paid through Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You know,
I bought my fake IDs through Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But like, dude, I had 5 Bitcoin like in high school. And I bought a fake
shoot
ID.
yourself in the foot, huh?
I bought a fake ID, and I was like, "Yo, you should just kept it in there, bro."
Yeah. But I mean, like you had
you
no
never
way of
know.
knowing.
You never know.
You have no way of knowing.
You have zero.
But I mean, like
idea.
that's like one of the hangups. Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying that you should just give all control over to the government, but like there are certain things where, and to be fair, I don't trust everything the government does anyways. Like,
yeah,
I don't trust where all that money goes either. Like, it could be, you know, funding not stuff like sex trafficking. That's not what I'm saying, or like, you know, terrorism. But at least I kind of have a better sense of idea like where that's probably going, even if I don't know everything.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe that's dumb. Like maybe that's like a stupid moral hang up to have. Like, oh, I don't want to do it because like then I'd be, you know, advocating for, you know, this intermediary type of currency that could be used to, you know, fund terrorism in like the Middle East or something. I don't know.
Who got you into investing?
Kind of just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of looking into it.
Really? That's
a lot of like what I know is like mostly self-taught. Like I've talked to other people who've helped me a ton, honestly. But a lot of like what I've looked into is just like doing my research and like
that's cool.
Being smart in my approach and not like being very comfortable with like moderate return. Yeah. Like over time, but like ensuring that like I don't lose all my money. Like that's like, and that's like one of those things where I'm not concerned about like making $10,000 in like a year on like a single XYZ. Like that'd be awesome. But if I can consistently get like 20-30% return, like that compounds over time. And I have nothing but time.
Even less than that.
Yeah, even less than that. Like, and that's probably, you know, more accurately, it's probably like 10 to 15. Like at least 10% is like what the S&P averages year to year. Yeah. Even that, like if you're just consistent with, you know, what you do and like the platform that I use, it's all automated. It automatically does it for me. Yeah. And I can automatically just divvy out where I want to put things. So
takes it out of your paycheck, throws it in there.
So easy. Yeah. And again, I'm no expert. I'm not certified in any of this, but now you don't have to be. And now it's like, dude, I can just do that and, you know, be set. And a lot of like what I want to do in terms of like using that is to like provide like for my family and to provide for like my kids down the line.
Yeah.
Like,
how's it being married so far?
It's been great. If you ask my wife or I, it's like we'll just say it's like the exact same, just because we were together for so long, and you know. But now we're like, I think the biggest change has been like our responsibilities. Yeah, you know, we're both working full time. Like I said, we're moving into a house that we're building in like 6-7 months, and it's like things like that. Like now we're living together, which is really cool. But I mean, it's been great. It's like one of those things where you know. It's one of those things where I think marriage is like so important. Like, and part of that is because I'm very religious, and that's like part of like my you know, Christian, you know, upbringing and background. Like that's very sacred. But also just like in general, I think that's like something that you really need to like make sure that you're ready for. Yeah. And I don't know how honest I try to be very, very honest with like, dude, you definitely should not marry her, or you should not marry him type of thing.
Oh, that's a good friend. That's a good friend.
I would at least, I wouldn't say it like in front of like the other person. That'd be terrible. But I think it is like, dude, you better be sure. Yeah. Like guy or girl, you better be sure.
No, I'm not envious, but slightly. I mean, like that's so cool that like you love a person so much and just like believe in them and want to spend the rest of your life with. Like I don't think I've ever felt that way. You know, I mean, like,
you probably will one day.
No, maybe no, but that's super cool that you feel that way right now. Like, because I have a lot of friends getting married, having kids, and like whatever. Yeah, I'm like, yo, that's awesome. Like, that's super cool. And, like one day we'll see,
dude. And you know, like I think it's an amazing thing. Yeah,
beautiful.
But it's also something that shouldn't be rushed. So like, dude, obviously, you know, you have no rush, but you're a handsome guy. So if anyone is like looking at Nate on this YouTube and they're like, woo,
thanks, man.
I'll tag him and everything, and you'll know where to find him. But yeah, I mean, like onto that, it's just pretty much all my friends are now married. Like my
Sure.
close friends are married or either engaged.
Mr. Nichols.
Mr. Nichols for sure. Golf legend. But I mean, like, it is really cool to, like, have that group of friends who are, you know, all kind of at that same point in life.
Adulting.
Yeah, adulting. But I mean, that looks different to everyone. Like,
Yeah.
for, you know, for us and everything, that's like, okay, we earn our job and like now we're married and we love that. But like,
Yeah.
you grew up an adult way more than me in terms of like, you went from, dude, you just took the jump, Fresno to LA.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you knew maybe a couple people down there, maybe not.
Not a lot going in, but yeah.
I mean, that's like a huge jump to
Yeah,
make. Like,
it
that's a
is.
huge like grow up thing to do. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure now you would have more confidence if like the bitters company said, or like, you know, like the bitters came calling like, hey, you got to go to New York. Like, this is where the company needs to be based and you could do it. Like,
Definitely.
you'd be more comfortable now going
100%.
from here to over there because you've done it.
Yeah.
Whereas I would be like, whew, that's a big decision. I
It's
don't know.
scary to leave things that are comfortable, man.
Yeah.
And getting out of your comfort zone, like, and especially like moving, is like especially if you just moving from this apartment to the next house, it's gonna be uncomfortable for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, people just don't like change, and sometimes change is gonna be the most growing experience for you. You know.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. I think that's huge. We've been going for an hour and a half.
Yes, sir.
I think we've
That
killed
was
it so
great.
far. Thank you for coming
Yes,
on, bro.
sir. Thanks
I
for having
appreciate
me.
it. Yeah,
Appreciate
of course.
you, bro.
Thank you all so much if you've
Thank you,
tuned in.
guys.
This will be on YouTube. It'll be on all platforms. Shout out to Anchor, which I'm going to show Nate right now. We're just getting everyone on that train. So thank you all for tuning in and for listening. Again, this is a Civil Society podcast, and we will see you next time. Thank you.